like we're streaming, we will begin then. I've got 4:58, and I will call the organizational meeting for Council of the City of Lacombe on Monday, October 28th to order. Relatively short agenda. I'd like to have a motion, please. Councillor Gullickson.
Also moved.
There's no discussion on the agenda. All those in favor? Thank you. So under new business, we've got the 2019-2020 council meeting dates that have been proposed. Chief Gowdy, any additional input on any of those? See, we've had some changes.
We recommended a change to the philosophy of council meeting dates with respect to when a holiday Monday falls on a council date. In the past and in our current bylaw, we have proposed that, it has been included that the meeting would just follow on the Tuesday following the Monday where it was displaced. What I have heard in my household quite frequently is that that's actually quite disruptive because people plan things on Tuesday nights knowing that council is Monday night, and so there's all sorts of family commitments on Tuesday. And that it might be better to have it actually on the following Monday rather than that immediately following Tuesday. So we have proposed both options. The recommended option is to stick with Mondays so that council is always on a Monday, but certainly we can do it the way it's always been done and have it on a Tuesday following the Monday if that's council's preference. There's also a summer break in the proposed schedule.
Thank you. I expect there's probably some meeting dates that it conflicts with as well that are on Tuesdays. I know I have some throughout the year that are on schedule on Tuesdays, and it is disruptive in that regard, but I expect some of you do as well. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the proposed meeting schedule? Councillor Hoekstra.
Thanks, Mayor Tracy. I'm a little slow up to the game here. I cannot find it.
77, page 77.
Okay, so why doesn't it, oh, because it's part of this one. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Councillor Gullickson.
Oh, I'm sorry I left that on, but I would, you want a motion obviously, or looking for
I
a
assume
motion?
that's what your latest on, but
Okay, I'll also move that we adopt the council meeting dates that meet on Mondays only, so we would adopt the dates to the following Monday after a holiday.
Councillor Hibbs.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. So I definitely had a strangely hard time really deciding on this one. Ultimately, I think that I would prefer to stick to our current practice, which is moving them to Tuesdays. So that I would be voting against this motion. Reason being is that when I look at situations like March to April, you can have such a huge gap in between the March 23rd meeting and then the next regular meeting, which wouldn't occur until the 20th of April. I mean, I realize it doesn't happen often, but for the relatively minor disruption that a few Tuesdays thrown in a year is, honestly, I think it would just make more sense to just leave it in the current practice.
Councillor Hoekstra. Oh, not a problem. I just had a question. So just so we're clear, the motion before us was made by Councillor Gullickson, and he is proposing that we change to the Monday only meeting date, which would be option 2 under our notes the way that it is here. Any additional input? All those in favor? All those opposed? The schedule stays as is. And councillor appointments to committees, boards, and commissions. We had some discussion about this in previous meetings, and I asked for additional input, and I did not receive any additional, so we will be staying with the appointments the way that they are. Certainly, if there's any concerns that any of you have being able to fulfill your obligations as we move into the next year, certainly let me know, and we will do whatever we can to try and adjust accordingly. But as it sits, that's the way that they are now. Councillor Hoekstra?
Thanks, Mayor Creasy. I wasn't listed as an alternate on Subdivision and Development Appeal Board. Is that a definite now that I'm an alternate?
No, that is outside of what I was asking for. That has still yet to come.
Okay.
Right. Councillor Jacobson?
I just had a question. When was it part of our strategic plan, or when were we going to do that review of council participation in boards and committees?
That's correct.
Was that next year or 2021?
I believe it is to be Q4 2019, but as I had reported at our one-year update, we are struggling with that a bit. We will bring a report to council for the committee meeting to talk about how we can progress, but it is behind, for sure.
I think earlier it indicated there might be some adjustments and perhaps possibility of fewer appointments, but if in fact that does occur, that we will come up with some sort of an equitable system so that one person isn't left with a substantially different workload than others, if that kind of addresses what you were getting at.
Yeah, sure. I'm more just curiosity
Okay.
when that was on the docket.
Fair enough. Councillor Hibbs?
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Just a question about the second half of that motion. It talks about appointing that one councillor as an alternate for the Lacombe County Fire Services Advisory, and I think, yeah, the alternate position. Has that been decided upon?
It has not, and I was looking for some input this evening, and
I was just going to suggest, because I have been removed from essentially a non-existent committee, obviously I don't think I can make the motion and put my own name in. That would be weird maybe, but I would just put it out there unless anybody else wants to be the alternate, that I would be willing to take that on.
thank you for that. I actually was hoping that someone would step forward and want to be involved in that. It is just as an alternate, not to say that's not important, but it's not a particularly taxing role, I don't think, as far as time commitment. Councillor Connick?
And so to that end, then I would so move that council approve the 2019-2020 councillor appointments to council committees, boards, and commissions as presented, and appoint Councillor Hibbs as alternate member on the Lacombe County Fire Services Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Any additional comment? Our legislative coordinator had some information as well.
Further to Councillor Hoekstra's question about SDAB, again, these are simply proposed. It's up to Councillor Conica or Councillor Hoekstra whether they serve as full-time or alternate. This is meant to simply meet the requirements of the NGA to only have one council member as an SDAB member, as is the alternate Fire Services Advisory, just per the agreement requirements to have 2 members. So, merely a proposed thing, nothing else behind it other than that. So, just wanted to clarify that.
And would you suggest that we put those 2 legislative requirements plus the other one all into one motion? We've got basically 2 included now.
We've got the alternate included in the motion for Councillor Hibbs for the agreement for the Fire Services Advisory Committee. I think that deals with that one. But if they pass this motion as presented, then that deals with the alternates. If everybody's okay with that, then we can certainly make a change through another motion if you'd like to. That, It's already made by Councillor Connick. As Councillor Hibbs. So, we just merely, Fire Services Advisory Committee agreement specifies 2 members. We didn't have previously 2 members identified, so along with Councillor Ross as the main member, we now have an alternate proposed as Councillor Hibbs in the motion made by Councillor Connick. Oh, and as far as SDAB, what's proposed here, given the list attached to the memo, is that Councillor Hoekstra, just so it's clear for everyone, is the alternate member for SDAB, and Councillor Connick is the one council member permitted by the MGA. That's simply based on prior, as a secretary, just a suggested proposed alignment, but if you guys would like to discuss it more, I'm certainly willing to take any changes.
Councillor Hoekstra, were you aware of that recommendation?
I don't think so.
I didn't discuss it with Councillor Hoekstra before, so that's why we're here.
You're aware of it now, though, and what's your reaction to that?
That was my question. I just wasn't aware of it, and I just knew that we were always trying to spell each other off, but I didn't see that I was the alternate. I just saw us as both pointed to it, but I could be wrong.
Yes, and you're quite correct, Councillor Hoekstra. It was a prior, we were able to have 2 council members serving on the SDAB, and since the MGA updates came through, it's now only 1. And so we want to be in alignment with that, so this is just puts us back in alignment, so it's clear for everyone.
Chief Cody?
So just to be very clear on this, it used to be that there was 2 members of council on the SDAB, Ruben Connick and Cora Hoekstra. With the Modernized Municipal Government Act, there was a requirement that that be reduced to a maximum of 1 councillor. What is being proposed here by the legislative coordinator is that the remaining councillor of the 2 that are currently appointed be Ruben Connick, with the alternate being Councillor Hoekstra. And there was no rationale for that.
There's a
matter of
just proposed a couple of names, just
so
to meet the
easy
requirements.
the other way.
Councillor Connick?
And if Councillor Hoekstra wants it to be the other way, I mean, that's fine by me, no problem.
Given that there doesn't seem to be a tremendous appetite for that,
Maybe a response.
could I get you to perhaps include that as a third point in your motion so that we can clear up all these at once?
Sure, absolutely, and I would further amend my motion to appoint myself as the main member on SDBA with Councillor Hoekstra as the alternate.
Thank you very much. Everyone is clear on that motion? Any additional input? All those in favor? None opposed? Thank you. So that may come as a bit of a surprise to you, seeing the council seating arrangements. It's been past practice that that was an issue. I don't believe it is, in my opinion.
No.
If everybody's fine with it, as they look around and question their neighbor, I think we're going to leave those as is unless someone has substantial difficulty. Nothing like leaving it to a public meeting to make you say it, but that makes it much easier for me. Do we actually need to address this, or is what it will be?
It is in your procedural bylaw that you review it, the seating, every year. However, and we have, at the organizational meeting, we have proposed an alternate to avoid any sort of awkward required, I don't like my seating partner situations, but
My neighbor does it.
however you'd like to do it, you can certainly proceed.
Well, if it's part of our procedural bylaw, in fact, it has been reviewed, would someone care to put forth a motion? Councillor Connick?
I also move that council seating arrangements remain the way they are until the next organizational meeting.
Very good. All those in favor? Thank you.
Why did you visit opposed? I didn't oppose it. I was past, I was looking to see if somebody else was gonna oppose it.
You were waiting for me to oppose.
You're supposed to vote.
East against the west.
It's informed me that I in fact jumped over one item here, is citizens at large appointments, and we do have some individuals who are willing to come forward.
Three appointments, 7 appointments, 7 appointments, but I listed the
We'll bring those up on the screen for everybody to have a look at. Under Lacombe Police Commission.
So what the administration is proposing at this organizational meeting, just for council's information, is that there are so many reappointments and amendments that there is simply one motion if you agree with all of them to accept them as but you're certainly welcome to individually address any comments or questions with respect to any of them. And if there are questions, I can tell you what the remaining vacancies are based on the lack of applicants to date. We've got 2 vacancies remaining for the library board, 2 for the Arts Endowment Committee, 1 for the Art Collection Committee, and 1 for the Affordable Housing Strategy Steering Committee remaining to date, so we'll continue advertising for those.
So we'll just go through them, not each individual, but just according to board and committee. The Lacombe Police Commission, unless I see it late, I'm going to move on through. Got 3, a total of 3 there. Some SDAB. Anything there from anyone? Lacombe District Recreation Parks and Culture Board. 3 there as well. We're all good. And the Municipal Library Board. There's 2 there. Director Juke.
Just a comment about the Recreation, the Rec Board, Lacombe District Recreation Parks and Culture Board. The county has actually appointed Reeve Paula Law, replacing Councillor Ken Wigmore as of their organization meeting.
Appreciate that update. Councillor Uksha?
Yeah, I did have a question, but I was wondering if it was going to be in camera.
In regards to an individual,
Yes.
that certainly is more appropriate that that be handled in camera.
Correct. And how do we go about thinking? You can save that to the camera session of the regular council meeting.
That's going to present some interesting difficulties on.
So I'm sure we could go in camera now.
If you wish to.
I think that would be far less confusing if we did so now. And are you wanting to make that a motion then, please?
Oh, I move that we go in camera.
Very good. Well, let's ask the press and guests. I don't think it'll be a long discussion, but I appreciate your cooperation. Thank